Thoughts are truly things, for the reason that every material thing begins in the form of thought energy. Hello, I'm Carla, psychotherapist and mindset coach, and on this channel, I help you get unstuck and reach your goals by exploring topics that shift your mindset so you can live your highest potential. We are on the chapter of the subconscious mind, the 11th step towards riches, from Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. And I will be reading from the condensed version, Think and Grow Rich in 10 minutes a day. Let's dive in. The subconscious mind, the 11th step toward riches. The subconscious mind is the intermediary, which translates one's prayers into terms which infinite intelligence can recognize, presents the message, and brings back the answer in the form of a definite plan or idea for procuring the object of the prayer. The blueprint for riches. Thoughts are truly things for the reason that every material thing begins in the form of thought energy. Every single thing that we see, everything that we see was first a thought. This pen was first a thought. This shirt was first a thought. These earrings were first a thought. I was first a thought. So it starts in thought energy that becomes manifested in this physical material world. The subconscious is the intermediary between infinite intelligence and the mind of a human being. By virtue of its connection with infinite intelligence, the subconscious is able to translate desires into the physical equivalents. It works continuously, day and night, filling the sensory impressions and thought impulses it receives either passively from the environment or voluntarily from the conscious mind, and seeking out plans to manifest one's dominating thoughts. The four major sources of thought impulses are as follows. 1. Infinite intelligence. 2. One's own subconscious mind. 3. The mind of someone else who has released a conscious thought. 4. Another person's subconscious mind. Recall that the subconscious mind does not discriminate between positive and negative thoughts. It will latch on to whatever thoughts are most prominent in one's mind, especially those that have been emotionalized. And if you've ever seen this stick person figure, this represents the mind. This is from Dr. Thurman Fleet. Bob Proctor uses this a lot. He taught me all about the mind using this stick person. So think about your mind. This big circle here represents your mind. This top part is the conscious thinking mind. This bottom part is the subconscious feeling or emotional mind. And what Napoleon Hill teaches us is that we can have conscious thoughts or subconscious thoughts. Down here in our subconscious feeling mind, whatever thoughts we have here are emotionalized. They are deeply rooted and embedded. This is what runs 95% of all of our thoughts, behaviors, feelings, actions. So that's why it's so important to understand what is going on in our subconscious mind. What thoughts are we emotionally involved with? Because what happens here will come out into this physical world and create our results. So he's saying the dominating thoughts in one's mind serve as a blueprint for the subconscious to fashion the material equivalent of those thought impulses. But the subconscious does not need intentional thought impulses to create plans toward a particular end. If you neglect to regulate the thoughts you allow past the barrier of the subconscious thought, this is what he's talking about right here. This is that invisible barrier from the conscious thought to the subconscious emotional. Once we let it get under our skin, so to speak, we start getting feelings and emotions about it, good or bad. It will produce out here results because it's kind of like a wireless printer. Once you send the print job down, it's going to be printed out unless you cancel it or shut the computer off. It's going to come out. It's like a seed you plant in the earth. Once the seed is planted and it's nourished with emotion, it's going to grow in fruition in abundance. Think of weed seeds. That's why I always like to say that poem. Your mind is a garden. Your thoughts are seeds. You can grow flowers or you can grow weeds. This is the soil. This is the seed house. Every thought you think is a seed. It has a whole potentiality of world within it. That's why it's so important to watch your thoughts. Your thoughts are seeds. When you plant them in the emotional, fertile soil of your subconscious mind, it's going to produce. So what he's saying is, he's saying that the subconscious mind does not need intentional thought impulses to create plans, to create results really in the outside world, simply by neglecting, not paying attention to what thoughts you allow down into that subconscious fertile soil. If we let it past the barrier of the conscious thought and permit destructive thoughts to penetrate your subconscious mind will act on whatever thoughts take hold as a result of your idleness. That's why it's like guard your mind, guard your heart with all your might. Stand guard at the heart, at your gate. Protect your mind. Boundaries. Because what if it's a weed seed? it's going to produce weed seeds in abundance. And if just a simple exercise is look at the results in your life in any area. Is it more like weed seeds strangling you? You don't feel good about them? Or is it a beautiful, lush garden full of abundant, beautiful fruits and flowers and vegetables? Because whatever state it's in is just a result, an objective result of the seeds that have been planting. It's sowing and reaping. It's a universal law. Whatever we sow, we reap. If we plant a sweet potato, we're going to get sweet potatoes. If we plant a carrot, we're going to get carrots. You cannot plant a sweet potato and get bananas. Like it doesn't happen that way. So like James Allen says in As a Man Thinketh, good thoughts, good fruit, good seed, good fruit, bad seed, bad fruit. Think of your thoughts like seeds. What are we planting? What are we getting emotionally involved with? What are we entertaining? Thought impulses plus emotion equal action. Positive and negative emotions cannot occupy the mind at the same time. Not only does the subconscious mind work first on one's dominating thoughts, it also works primarily on desires that have been saturated with emotion. Emotions are like yeast that makes thought impulses active instead of passive. When mixed with positive emotions, the imagination works in conjunction with the subconscious mind to produce definite plans for materializing one's desire. For a reminder of how this process works, reread the sections on the subconscious mind and the chapters on desire, faith, and imagination. Remember from chapter 2 that the 3 strongest positive emotions that support desire are faith, love, and sex. Hill expands this list to include desire, faith, love, sex, enthusiasm, romance, and hope. Whereas positive emotions must be injected in the subconscious through the principle of autosuggestion, negative emotions require no support from them to take hold. That is so important. Really hear that. Positive emotions, we must be proactive, and it's our job to put positive emotions into our subconscious mind. Negative emotions don't require anything. So for example, if you've ever seen a garden or a sidewalk or a broke down house, weed seeds don't take any effort to grow. But if we wanted to grow beautiful flowers and plants and trees, we have to go and put those in. Weed seeds just fly around, but intentional positive seeds we must plant. Same in us. I will never forget. I think it was like 5 or 6 years ago, right before I got serious about my personal development. I was doing all the right things. I'm a good person, reading, doing all this, but I still felt like crap, and I still had like negative thoughts, and I was falling into like depression and anxiety. I was like, what is going on? And just this voice came to me like, Carla, what are you planting? What are you putting in your mind? Are you putting any effort into the positive affirmations or listening to uplifting things? And I was like, I got to do all that? It's like, yeah, I got to do all that. You get out what you put in. It's not free. If we live by default, whatever's floating around here, I don't want any of that. I want the good stuff. So I'm going to go out and do that work to cultivate my inner garden. It takes work to be positive. It takes no effort to be negative, none whatsoever. And so it behooves us to do that work. And so at the beginning of this, when he says thought impulses plus emotion equals action, that's like here. Thought impulses plus emotion, our feeling, it equals action from our body, and that's how we get results. It's like classic cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. Our thoughts create our feelings create our actions create our results in our life. And so if we ever look at results and see something we don't like, let's reverse engineer it. What caused these results? What actions did I take that caused these results? Okay, I see my actions. What emotions led to me doing that action? Okay, I got the emotions. What thoughts fed those emotions? Okay. And why am I thinking what I'm thinking? What's around me? And by the way, these 5 little antenna looking things represent our 5 physical senses. See, hear, smell, taste, touch. So what's in our outside world? What are we surrounding ourselves with? What are our influences? What are our environmental influences? Who are the 5 closest people around us? We got to pay attention to that. Guard this, right? Because there's so much going on, right? We have thoughts coming in all along. It's like a goalie at a soccer game. We can't possibly keep them all out because we're busy. That's why, advertising, messaging gets to us. It's like we think that we can block everything that comes in here. No, we can't. We highly underestimate the power of the subconscious mind in getting emotionally involved with things. So he's saying positive emotions must be injected into the subconscious through the principle of autosuggestion. Again, a suggestion from yourself to yourself, affirmations, mantras, continually repeating these things so we get emotionally involved with them. And negative emotions require no support from them to take hold. They will readily infiltrate thought impulses, especially when people do not actively manage the messaging that their subconscious receives. The 7 major negative emotions are as follows: fear, jealousy, hatred, revenge, greed, superstition, anger. The key is to make a habit out of applying positive emotions to one's thoughts so that they are more abundant, leaving little room for negative emotions to enter one's mind. Let's hear that again. The key is to make a habit out of applying positive emotions to one's thoughts so that they are more abundant, leaving little room for negative emotions to enter one's mind. Let's double up on the good, fill our cup up with positive so that it doesn't leave any room for negativity. As the beginning of this section tells us, it's impossible for both negative and positive emotions to coexist simultaneously in the mind. There's a really great metaphor. Think about abandoned houses. What kind of energies and activities do abandoned, empty houses attract? Negative energies, people who are squatters doing drugs. It attracts vandalism. That's what happens when you have an empty house. Think of your mind like that. Is your mind like an abandoned house just attracting all the negative things? But if your house is full, if it's a happy home with all the bright lights on and a full family in there, it's not going to attract people that are just breaking into sleep overnight. It's not going to attract people drinking and doing drugs and vandalism as much as an empty abandoned house would. So think of your mind. If you fill your mind with good thoughts, bright light, happy things, it will have no place for these nasty things to go. All 13 success principles are necessary to influence the subconscious mind. After reading this book in its entirety, you must coordinate your efforts in the application of the principles so that you can leverage the power of the subconscious mind to generate definite plans and inspire action on them. He goes on to talk about the science of prayer. Faith and fear make poor bedfellows. The process of using autosuggestion to send requests to your subconscious and from there on to infinite intelligence is essentially prayer. It is in the subconscious that thought impulses are transformed so that they are particularly receptive to infinite intelligence, which will share its power by providing inspiration through the organization of knowledge and generating concrete plans for how an individual can best attain their desire. The key ingredient in the science of prayer is faith. When thought impulses are emotionalized by faith, the original thought vibration becomes a spiritual vibration, one that attracts success. And he ends it with our action item, the habit of emotion. Spend 5 minutes reflecting on your definite chief aim and any current plans you have for achieving it. Attend to any negative emotions that permeate your thinking, naming and recording them on a piece of paper, your phone, or another writing device. Can you distinguish between negative emotions that you have actively cultivated around your desire and ones that are passively entering your thought process? Apply a positive emotion to every thought impulse that is produced or was accompanied by a negative emotion. Using a list of positive emotions that will replace the negative ones, rehearse your statement of purpose, the efficacy of your practical plans, and the likelihood you will attain what's already due to you. Do this until you can reflect on your chief desire without any negative emotions entering your mind. This is such a good practice. I'm going to do this actually. So for example, think about your goal, whatever you're working towards right now. And just like we learned in the previous chapters, say it with faith as if you're already in it. And if there's any little voice that says, oh, it's taking too long, this is too hard, I can't do that, I'm frustrated, whatever it is, write it out all on paper. All the negative thoughts or the thoughts that don't feel good, that are like kind of resisting your goal, write it all out on paper. Then write the polar opposite on a fresh piece of paper. Burn the old one, it's ceremonial, be safe. And then just think about your goal and write the statement infused with all of these positive thoughts and positive affirmations around it and repeat it daily. That's the principle of autosuggestion. So again, this down here in our subconscious heart of hearts, the ancient Greeks and Egyptians called this our soul, our psyche. This is truly where we feel things. And whatever's here will run the show. So down here, we can think all we want. I want to be successful. I want all of this. But if we're not emotionally involved with that idea, it's never going to happen out here. I want to be wealthy. I want to make, 20K a month. The most I've ever made is $2,000 a month. You're only going to make $2,000 a month. You have to get emotionally involved with the idea here. Feel it, see it. And what he's telling us is, let's look out for things that aren't congruent with this. We have to be congruent. Our thoughts, our feelings, our actions, and then our results. I hope you enjoyed that. That was the chapter on the subconscious mind, the 11th step toward riches. As always, if you have any questions or comments, leave them below. If you want to get in contact with me, all of my links are there as well. I look forward to our next lesson. Let's see what we have here. The brain, the 12th step toward riches. This is a really good one also. I look forward to seeing you next time. As always, thank you for spending your time with me. Have a good one.